today I want to share with you some of the concepts that have to be mastered for a system to be tough enough to truly be called all-weather. And as an example, I'll be illustrating the point by looking a little bit at our anti-ship missile, the RDS-15. The sea is truly a tough environment, about as tough as it gets. And with an increasing amount of traffic in already congested waters, accidents are bound to happen. And with rising tensions and emerging threats, demands are growing for systems that can operate in a large and ever-expanding set of conflict scenarios. Modern forces have to be prepared. They have to be able to engage systems or engage threats ranging all the way from asymmetric and hybrid conflicts all the way up to conventional conflicts between near peers. Systems have to operate in the cluttered littorals and in the wide open seas. They have to operate in scorching sun and raging blizzard. They have to operate in the best of times with an eye in the sky and online network systems. And they have to operate in the worst of times with completely blacked out radio silence. For a strategically important weapon like an anti-ship missile, it's absolutely vital that it's available and can provide the necessary operational effectiveness whenever it's called upon to do so, at any time, in any place, and in any conditions. In order to ensure a missile is tough enough to truly operate in all conditions, we first have to understand some of the basic principles and the challenges involved. A missile's target seeker is a bit like a basket. It's a volume of space where we search for the target. And the idea, of course, is to ensure that the missile is correctly positioned and with a large enough basket to ensure that our intended target ends up inside of it. Now that problem breaks down into three aspects. The first, targeting, knowing where the target might be and where we should be looking. The second aspect is navigation, which is actually being and looking in the right place. And the third aspect is sensors, looking with the right tool. Different sensor technologies allow for different sized baskets, and the bigger the basket, the greater the uncertainty we can tolerate in both targeting and navigation. Let's take a closer look at each of these three key aspects. First up is targeting. Before we can engage a target, we first have to know where it is. And if we're close enough to be able to see the target ourselves, then we really don't need a long-range system. But if we're operating with few forces that are spread out over a large geographical area, then we need some form of over-the-horizon targeting. And that's no easy task. It all comes down to communication. We need some form of link between our various platforms that allows them to contribute to a shared tactical picture. In a perfect scenario, we have perfect information, but in reality, that's not really the case. We have uncertainties in measurements. We have time delays between sightings. We might have disrupted or intermittent communications. And all of these contribute to a degree of uncertainty in the reported target position. In addition to this, ships at sea tend to move. And so we have speed and heading information that adds yet another layer of uncertainty to the equation. Now, for a missile system to truly be effective, it must be able to compensate for all of these sources of uncertainty. There's also the issue of navigation. Knowing where your target is just half of the problem. The missile also needs to know where it is. And for this, GPS is great, but we can't necessarily rely on it 100%. We've all experienced how the satellite navigation system loses its bearings as we drive our cars through roads, road tunnels, or in valleys. And for a free-flying system like an anti-ship missile, it's certainly not going to be going through a lot of road tunnels. But there's jamming and other forms of a disruption that we have to compensate for instead. And that's why the satellite system needs to be compensated by something like an inertial navigation system, or an INS. An INS with low amounts of drift and a high degree of measurement accuracy allows the missile to know where it is, even in an environment where the GPS is not available. And finally, we have the use of sensors, using the right tool for the job. Now, our senses are limited. We can only see and hear a small fraction of the reality around us. But thanks to science and technology, we're able to expand our senses beyond our biology. We can sense the ultra small, the ultra faint, and even the otherwise invisible. As an example, radar was used during the Second World War. It allowed the Allied forces to find enemy aircraft at night and in bad weather. To keep this new technology secret, rumors were spread that the British soldiers' ability to see enemy aircraft was due to a diet rich in carrots. Now, the truth is that finely tuned electromagnetic waves were being used to create a detailed picture of all the aircraft in the sky, regardless of the visibility. And that ability proved pivotal then, and it remains important today. The same principle is now applied in many ways to allow our senses to get extended beyond the limited visible spectrum. For missile systems, for example, long-range systems tend to rely on radar to be able to identify targets in rain, fog, through clouds, and in snow. But with sensors, it's a trade-off. Each solution offers its own particular strengths and weaknesses. Different sensors offer varying resolutions. Some offer varying degrees of disruption by the atmosphere. And without a single solution available for the problem, we have to strike a balance that's based on our operational requirements. So, in a scenario where we're striking a pinpoint stationary target, in fair weather or short range, then an electro-optical system with its lower range but very high resolution might be the best option. But if we're searching for a freely maneuvering target at long range and potentially adverse weather, then radar offers the better solution, with a larger target seeker search area and less impact from weather. By understanding the uncertainties and errors involved in targeting, navigation, and sensors, we're able to build systems that can operate in all scenarios and find the target in all weathers and operate and use in a wide range of conflict scenarios. If the weather is fair or if it's foul, if it's long range or short range, and even in the presence of countermeasures, we have to design our systems so that they are able to give the operator the faith and trust in the system and its ability to perform when he needs it most. At Saab, our missile systems build upon a wealth of experience and knowledge, and we leverage the best available technologies to build systems that are robust and reliable. We build tough missiles for tough environments. I hope you've enjoyed this mini talk. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to find me anywhere here on the stand. My name is Miguel Svensson. I'm Director of Technical Sales Support for Missile Systems at Saab Dynamics, and thank you for your attention.